everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning into Poets and Convo, episode number 3. Really, really excited for our conversation tonight. It's a special one, so I am so glad that you made it a priority. My nerves are nerving today, but I'm trusting God to get me through it and to get us through it, and that we're going to have an amazing time. Our guest tonight is Marlyn ChimoMBO, who I am so excited to, I want to say introduce to you, but then again, I'm like, do I need to introduce her to you? Because you should know her. But yeah, we're going to have an amazing time talking about mental health. I thought it would be very important for us to have this special edition of Poets and Convo because, as we know, mental health is a very important thing and something I'm really, really glad that we are spending more time focusing on in this generation. So I'm really, really excited for our conversation tonight. I hope you're excited as well. As always, I'm going to give you a few seconds to go on over to your WhatsApp, to your Facebook, to your Instagram, to your whatever socials that you use, and tell your friends to come and hop on over here. Tell them that the party is going on over here. So yeah, please take some time to do that. Tell people that we are live. And in the meantime, you can also let me know in the comment section down below, where are you watching from? Please let me know. Type it in the comment section down below. Are you watching from Blantyre, from Lilongwe, from outside Malawi? Please let me know. I really, really love to just know where you're coming from. And that helps me, gives me a chance to interact with you a little bit here. So I'm giving you 2 minutes, not really 2 minutes, 2 minutes, air quotes, to go on over and invite your friends to this live stream, but also to let me know where you are watching us from. All right, good people, I'm back. um, did you do the things? Did you tell people to come on over and check this video out? I hope you did. I don't see anybody in the comments yet, but that's okay. I guess you will be telling me as we go along where you are watching this video from. All right, so before we invite our guest who is already here and I'm about to bring her on here, I want to let you guys know that Poets and Convo is in promotion of my upcoming album and album launch, which is coming out on the 29th of October. Whoop, whoop. If you haven't already heard me making noise about it, then what you doing with your life, honey? Yeah, it's coming out on the 29th of October. It's going to be in Lilongwe at the Marvel Boutique Hotel from 6 p.m. We have an amazing lineup of artists. If you didn't catch the Poets and Convo episode from last week, please go on over and check it out because I went into detail just about the event and what it's all about and the name, which we have established is Power. I don't know how y'all were pronouncing it. Yeah, so we're gonna have an amazing time on the 29th of October. Amazing lineup. I can't wait to keep letting you guys know who else is coming on. So far, we have announced our very first supporting artist, who is none other than Praise Umali. He is amazing. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. I want to give a huge shout out to my team. My team tonight is just one person behind the camera, Frank. He's amazing. He's doing the things like yeah, can you guys just in the comment section just drop a like hand clapping emoji for him, because he makes it happen. Mina, I just have to come over here, look pretty, ask the questions, and just navigate the conversation. But all the tech stuff is in his hands. So really, this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't without his help and everybody else that helps me. So huge shout out to you guys, my support team. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm gonna stop talking. I'm about to invite our guest, who is an artist. She is a psychologist, trained psychologist who has a bachelor's and a master's as well, and currently studying for her PhD as well. My goodness. And on top of that, as I said, she is an artist. Beautiful, beautiful voice. Help me welcome Marlyn ChimoMBO.
Hello.
Hi, Marlyn.
Hi.
Welcome to Poets and Convo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be
So am I
here.
actually.
hmm So,
Really,
yeah,
really
thank you
excited.
for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure that I'm not the only one excited. I'm sure that lots of people are looking forward to just hearing about mental health,
Yeah.
especially in the context of artists. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
let's get started.
All
Please
right.
introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? I already told them before you came in, but we want to hear it from you as well. Who are you? What do you
Okay.
do?
So yeah, already know my name, Marlon. I'm an artistic ambassador. That's what I usually see myself, I think. Um, the Lord gifted me with gifts in the arts, and I like to use those gifts to reach out to people, reach out to people for God, but also just for the sake of healing and um, healing of hearts and healing of emotions. That's an area I think that I've accepted that is part of my calling. So in that regard, I love to sing. I'm a musician, but also I love to do all other types of arts like dancing and drawing and acting, writing. But I'm also a trained psychologist, like you said. So that's another area, part of me that's very important. I love to work with people who are hurting and walk alongside them. Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
hmm
Really, really beautiful. As you were speaking, it really made me wonder how you got into what you do, because I'm hearing you
Right.
spoken about doing music and arts, art as a whole, not just music. You spoke about being drawing and just expressing yourself artistically in many different ways, but also
hmm
doing psychology, which are two very, very different fields, but also two not very common fields in the African context. So I want to know
Right.
what inspired you to be who you are, or to pursue the career path that you've pursued. Also, how
Right.
did your parents allow it? Because the general stereotype that we mostly hear about is that
Guys.
the African parent doesn't want you doing those kind of things. So please, yeah, tell us what inspired it.
Okay, so I will start by saying I was born with gifts that were noticed really early in my life. Um, my family is a key role in who I am right now. My parents are a little bit non-traditional, which I thank God for. My father and my mother both accepted me for who I am. I think that was what really gave me the courage to pursue what I do, because if they didn't accept the craziness, if they didn't accept the artisticness, I wouldn't have even pursued training in it or like to do anything of that sort of nature. They are just amazing human beings. So thank God for the whole family. They are the key to who I am right now, musically as well as career in psychology. For psychology specifically, I would love to say when I was in primary school, I wanted to do science. I wanted to be a scientist, a
Wow,
geneticist actually, because I just love
wow.
biology. But when I was in secondary school, I had this wonderful teacher who helped us sort of see our strengths, and she talked to me about what is it that you like and what is it you don't like. And I recognized that I don't like being alone. I don't like being in a
Mm,
space where it's just me. Um, to for all day, that is. I like connections. I like to work with people when they're hurting. And I was already doing that in secondary school. I just didn't know that I was doing it. I would meet different girls during the day after prep. I would have like appointments to meet people and talk about what they're going through. I just did it because it's what I loved to do, but I didn't recognize what it was. So when I talked to that teacher about it, she said, "Oh, you should check out psychology," and that was it. I checked it out and I was
Wow.
like, "Yes, this is what I want to do. This is what I believe God wants me to do." So, yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So is there any way that you marry the two? Like, is there a bridging point, or are they just two separate lives of two separate parts of your life?
For me, they can't be separate because I am an artist. That's just how I am. So even in my work as a psychologist, as a therapist, I use my art a lot. I use my creativity. I use, different sides of me. I cannot separate them. um, and that's part of also my growth. I had to accept that that's who I am, instead of trying to be like other people in that profession. So it I feel like they complement each other. I'm able to find creative ways in working with people, looking outside the box. I'm able to use my expressiveness as a healing for myself, but also for other people. So I feel like they kind of just work out.
Hmm. Beautiful. I'm
Mhm.
able to use my expressiveness as a healing for myself and also other people. Quotable quote. Love it. Really, really love
Yeah,
it.
cool.
um,
Thanks.
I want to see who is here. Enala. Hey, Enala. Oh my gosh, my chemistry teacher, the most amazing chemistry teacher that I ever
Oh,
had is here. Mr. Jamau. Hi, thank you for being here. My mother is here. Hey, mom. Isaac Lulu is here. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We really appreciate one of you that are here tonight. We're just getting started. So if you haven't invited a friend, please go on over and do that. Let them know that we are live talking to the beautiful Marlyn and her journey through music and being a clinical psychologist. Is it a clinical psychologist? Community psychologist. You're gonna have to correct me.
I see myself as
um,
both actually. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So I want to know, because you're a trained psychologist, what is the
Mhm.
correct, if I can put it that way, what is the correct definition of mental health?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know about correct, but but I'll share maybe the one that I usually use. I agree a lot with the definition given by World Health Organization, and they say mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life.
Mm,
And it helps them to realize their abilities to learn well, to work well, and also to contribute to their community to contribute good things to their community.
mhm,
I also see it as a spectrum. I don't see mental health as like a state, just one state.
mm,
So
mm,
I don't see it like I'm either healthy or I'm unhealthy.
mm,
I think mental health is a spectrum, so it has ranges because it's different for different people. Some people might be a little bit maybe on the unhealthy side, others might be more on the healthy side, others may be in between. It usually depends on a lot of things interact. So that's how I think I would define mental health really.
mhm. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, and would you say that this is something that you learned in school, or has it been through experience that you've kind of come to the conclusion that this is how you look at mental health?
I think both. In school, I would say in the beginning of my journey, it wasn't really formed. So my understanding of mental health wasn't formed. I may have understood maybe definition wise or theory driven kind of, but after my bachelor's, I did my bachelor's in the US. I got a scholarship back in the day. And then when I came back, I started working with people and and realized that some of the things I learned didn't really click, culturally, but also with just my own experience. So I think experience has shaped a lot of what I understand mental health to be right now,
Mm, mm,
especially when I see it as a spectrum, and especially when I see that for different people, it really is different. Someone could have the same, um, let's say they would experience, let's say they can go through some a traumatic experience, the same traumatic experience. For example, they can have an accident maybe that sees someone die right away, but then someone might develop symptoms of, let's say, post-traumatic stress disorder, and someone may not, but they were both in the same experience. So
mm,
it's just a lot of things that interact to make differences and nuances with people's symptomology, but also experience. So it's also important for us as people that work with others to understand a person, and to understand their particular symptomology and what they are going through, and
mm,
also their strengths. Yeah.
mm. Wow. Wow. I really love just the perspective that you bring in of mental health being a spectrum, and it being different for each individual, because I guess because we're not very educated well enough in terms of mental health, we box it into one category. And
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
think mental health, at least for me, I can speak for myself and say, like, prior to this, when I thought mental health, I thought depression, because maybe that's the only thing that you hear about when
Right.
it comes to mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you don't look at it as, a whole spectrum, like what you're saying. So I really, really love that perspective that you bring in.
Thanks. Yeah,
Something
it,
else
it,
I
it's
wanted to,
helpful. Yes,
yeah,
continue.
yeah, it really, really is. Something else that I wanted to find out is, I mean, mental health right now is a hot topic. Almost everybody's
Yeah,
talking about it. Podcasters,
it's the
YouTubers,
thing.
the corporates. Yeah, in corporate settings, everywhere you look, almost everywhere you look, people are talking about mental health.
Right.
Why, in your opinion, like, why do you think it's become such a trending topic? And why are
Uh-huh.
we more aware of mental health? I mean, as humans, we've always had, our minds. Mental health has always been a thing. Why do you think it's
Right.
become so popular now?
I think part of it is just we feed off each other. So the exposure and global connections, and um, so another culture may emphasize it more, but then because we're all now really connected, we find that we resonate along the same wavelengths when it comes to that. I think the other thing is just generationally, now the way that we understand ourselves has transformed. The way that science has also evolved has definitely added to our awareness of mental health, because we know a lot more things now about it, even about our brains and about the way that emotions work, or the way that we cope with stress and things like that. We know a little bit more than we did back then. So I think that's also part of it. Um, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's just kind of the connections. I really think the global connection has a big thing to do with it. We see what others are talking about more now. We connect
Mm,
more on a global level than just like a village level that like we would back in the day, you know. So I think that's a big part of it.
mm, mm, mhm.
Yeah.
So good. So good. We feed off each other. So
Hmm.
true. Such a key point. And just
Hmm.
what you said about, yeah, just understanding, being aware. And now, just, I guess this generation now is really, I mean, I guess we have technology to thank as well, right?
Yes,
And just being able
definitely,
to be,
definitely.
hmm, to
Yeah,
have
and
access to information, and just, yeah,
yes,
be, mhm, go ahead.
I was also going to say, I think we're this generation, my generation and the one below, is more introspective, I think. So we want to find ourselves, or like find what's going on. Um, so I think that's something that's a familiar thing, and it has kind of pushed people to look into things that we struggle with. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
So good. And speaking about struggle, that takes me to my next point, which is,
Hmm.
as an artist, do you think that artists whatever form of an artist you are. Do you think that we're more vulnerable to struggling with our mental health? Because I've seen so many, like, you can just go online and see several artists that are
Mm,
currently struggling or have struggled with their mental health. So it really makes me wonder, like, why this specific people in society are we more vulnerable to
mm,
struggling with our mental health, and if so, why so?
right. Um, I think it's a two-way. I've been struggling to see how I can talk about this one because I feel like a part of it is also that artists are more, we talk about it more. So it may
Hmm.
not be that we
Hmm.
struggle with it more than others, but that we express it
Hmm.
more. So
That's
it's
true.
in an awareness. But I
Hmm.
do want to say that when it comes to um, struggle, when it comes to being on the unhealthy side of mental health, there are two factors that we have to keep in mind. One is risk factors and the other is protective factors. For risk
Hmm.
factors, these are like unfavorable social, economic, geopolitical, environmental circumstances that may influence development, right, of coping strategies that help people deal with issues. And then
Hmm.
for protective factors, these are factors that will then act as a buffer that will help you to build resilience whenever something happens. Because the one thing we can agree with is that things always happen. It's not like in life, nothing will happen. Something will happen that is negative, something will happen that is not optimal, but the ability to cope and the ability to deal with it um, can be either
Hmm.
strengthened or weakened due to risk factors and protective factors. So for artists, I feel like there are some things that act as risk factors, especially if you're an artist that is doing really well. So the artists that maybe we've seen out there that are
Hmm.
doing exceptionally well, they were exposed, to stressors early in their development. And early development stress and what can I say? Things that will come at you when you're younger have a tendency to stay with you or to impede your resilience building. So most of the times people will struggle with mental health, unhealthy mental health, when they're a little bit older, when they went through stresses when they were young. It's just something that's been proven over time. But also because when you are younger, you're still developing. Your brain is developing. So when something happens to
Hmm.
you at that age, it can mess up your development. So some things that are should develop normally, like emotional regulation, like knowing how to deal with anger, right? Knowing how to deal with
Hmm.
pain and sadness and all these things, they don't then develop well because something happened to sort of slow it down at that time. So for artists who are
Hmm.
exposed
Hmm.
to different kinds of stressors as they're young, for example, I'm going to mention Justin Bieber only because he came into the business really young. Okay, so there's a lot of things he was
Yeah.
exposed to when he
Yeah.
was young that may have interrupted some development, and it could be possible that is why he struggles with other things for his mental health. So it's just a matter of all those things. Another thing is I think a benefit for artists is our ability to express ourselves. That's actually a protective factor. So
Hmm.
it could be known that artists, even though they're seen to struggle with it, are doing better than others because they're talking about it, they're seeking help, and they're expressing themselves. Those you don't hear are the
Hmm.
ones who may complete suicide, you know. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that's what I can share
Wow.
about that one.
I love that. That's really like an aspect of it that I had never looked at. Just the
Hmm.
fact that, well, artists have a platform, so of course we're gonna know that they're struggling with it if they choose to
Hmm.
share. And
Hmm.
like the many people in society who probably are struggling with their mental health, um, but probably don't have a platform to share it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so true. So true.
Hmm.
Um, Okay, I'm going to look at a few more comments and then we're going
Okay.
to get into the artist side of Marlyn.
Okay.
And then, yeah, thank you. I see our accent more than great. JBL, heart emojis. Thank you guys for being a part of tonight's conversation. I hope that you're enjoying it.
Mhm.
Really, really learning a lot and just gaining a lot of insight about mental health. Um, and I think that we are going to continue having an amazing time. Please remember, as the audience, I give you a chance to ask questions at the end. So please
Mhm.
get those prepared. What are you hearing and you want to ask about? Or just maybe a question that you think Marlyn would be able to speak into very well.
Mhm.
Love from is it my nephew or someone's nephew? Oh, Joy. I'm assuming that must be Marlyn's nephew. I don't think I
Oh,
have
it's
a nephew who
Joy.
is watching.
Yes.
um,
Oh, hugs to you,
all
Joy.
right. Sweet. Thank God for supportive family. That always blesses
Oh,
my heart.
absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
you have just, yeah, family members that support, that watch, such a
Yeah, it
blessing,
means a
such a
lot.
blessing.
Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
guys. So we've heard a lot from Marlyn about mental health. I'm going to take a pause and we are going to hear a song from her. Um, so yeah, please prepare your ears. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, let's have her song. Technology sometimes can be a bit funny, but it's going to work. It's going to work.
Nichileleni chifundo Mungu wanga, monga mwakukoma mtima kwanu, monga mwaunyinji wansoni zokoma zanu, mufafanizhe machimo wanga. Chileleni chifundo Mungu wanga, monga kwakukoma mtima kwanu, monga mwaunyinji wansoni zokoma zanu, mufafanizhe machimo wanga. Muniela tali hisope, ina mudi tuke, muniela tego jota zola kwazanga, mokonze nzimo kazi kikangari manga. Ndikutiwa mphulupulu zanga, ndipo tchimo langa lili pamaso panga, motsutsana ndinu ndachimwa, ndachita zoyipa pamaso panu. Jonadi yenu mumafuna, Jonadi mumandipuzitsa nzeru nkati, ndiyeleteni nkati mweni mweni, ndimve chimwemwe chisangalalo. Yeleteni hisope, ine mundi tuke, Chidleli chifundo mbuye.
Sure. What a gripping song.
Yeah.
My gosh. I'm trying to recover.
Let me just say a little bit about this song because I think it's important. I wrote this song based off of Psalm 51, which was David's cry to God after the whole Bathsheba stuff. And for y'all who don't know the Bathsheba stuff, he had an affair basically with another a man's wife and killed the husband for it in the end. And he was confronted with his own sin. And this song for me was it came out of just those moments that we are confronted with our own sin, with our own um, shortness, right? Our own brokenness. And it's always something that we have to always ask for mercy. And when you ask for it, he gives
Mm,
it. It's not like he doesn't give it. So it's a reminder for, and in particular, I wrote it also for those who struggle with addiction. So I guess that can relate with mental
sure.
health because addictive behaviors, and especially when it comes to drug addiction or even behavioral addiction like sex addiction and pornography addiction, sometimes you can think that you're healing, but you're always struggling or you come back. But with this song, it's something that reminds me you can always ask for mercy. You can always ask for God to help you, and God will always come through because
Mm,
that's what He wants. He wants a broken heart. So yeah, uh, I want to shout out to KBG.
oh,
He's the one who shot this. He's awesome, amazing. Whoop whoop. And of
he
course,
really is.
Paul Kazama and Dan
Mm,
Koviwa, who helped me do the instrumental and the track for this song. Yeah, so shout out to those wonderful people, my
wow,
team. Yeah,
wow.
and of course Shadrach Galakusha who mixed it. So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Such a beautiful song and such a beautiful message as well. And as I was hearing you explain um, the vision behind it or what got you to write it, it made me realize like this is the marrying point for me. Like when I look at you as an artist and a psychologist, is the heart for others, and the understanding of what you were talking about earlier, that we all go through things happen,
Hmm.
and being able to use your voice, to speak up about those things, and to let
Hmm.
us all know that we all go through things, and can reach
Yeah.
out to God for mercy is such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so many people in the comment section are agreeing with me. Tusi says, phenomenal voice. What a beautiful song. Beautiful message. Frank says, this is a beautiful song. You guys can start sending in your questions as well if you have any questions for Marlyn before we head out soon. But yeah, so many people are just echoing the fact that it is such a
Yeah.
beautiful song. Wow, Marlyn ChimoMBO, you are on another level. I like this song that is coming from Isaac. Fatima, loving the song. Um, yeah, I lost that comment somewhere. Loving the song is such a good message. It really is such a beautiful message, such a real message as well. Because
Mhm.
I think we can all relate because we can all relate. Like that's
Because
the
we can all
reality.
relate, yes.
We all have.
We can all relate. Yeah.
Exactly. We all go through those moments where,
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, we fall short and we need God's mercy. So really, really such a beautiful song. While people are typing their questions, I'm gonna ask another one because I've got
Okay,
plenty of
go ahead. Go
questions
ahead.
for the night. Um, sure. I wanted to know if you are open to sharing. Have you personally struggled with your mental health?
So yeah, I those of there's some people who know my story and I've shared it before, but I have struggled with mental health with coping with things that have happened in my life, especially when I was younger, in my teen years. I really struggled with depression, with major depression. I would have diagnosed myself back then with
Mm,
major depressive episodes. Um, and I say that because there was a lot of times that I was feeling an overwhelming sadness that would just really come over me. But also, I had difficulty sleeping. There was a time I had insomnia for a couple of months. I couldn't sleep at all. Maybe all night I would do like an hour or so, but sometimes not even an hour. I would also not enjoy things the way I used to enjoy. Nothing would bring me joy. Um,
mm,
so I'm explaining this on purpose because I want people to check themselves as well. So these are some of the things we look for when it comes to depression, to know if it's at a clinical level, if you need professional help. And yeah, this lasted for more than a month for me. It lasted for quite a while, and I also had suicidal thoughts that I not only struggled with the thinking that I want to kill myself. And for me, being a Christian, it's more complicated because a part of me knew that I shouldn't be thinking this way because I'm a Christian,
mm,
right? But I was just so tired. I was so tired
mm,
with pretending. I was so tired with what I was going through. All I really just wanted to do was have it end. So I wouldn't say I expressed myself like I want to kill myself, no. But I would say things like it would just be better if I wasn't here, if I didn't exist. Um,
mm,
and there was a point that this really just came to a place where I just thought, okay, I don't think that God even cares anymore. God loves me. I don't think
mm.
that's true. And I attempted suicide. So that was a major part of a low point in my life, but it was also a turning point in my life.
Mm,
So in psychology, we can call that a redemption, a turning point for me because that's where I met God, really met Him in my low, 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 low point. I was in the clinic. The nurse had given me things to throw up what I had, you know, put in my system that was poisonous. And I was there and I was put in an isolation room because I could contaminate others, I guess. I don't know. But it was there that I heard God say to me that I'm here with you. And I was just like, what? You can't, how can you be here with me when you know that I tried to kill myself? When this is like the worst sin, right? Taking life is, I thought, was the worst sin in the world. But how can you still be here with me? That changed my whole life because I then understood that it wasn't about what I did, it was about what God gives. And He always gives the grace and He gives the love.
sure.
And from then on, I was just like, all right, God, let's do this thing. I'm gonna take you
Mm,
at your word. I'm gonna take what you say about me, even though I don't believe it sometimes, but I'm gonna do it. And it's
mm,
been a journey from then till now.
mm.
So yeah, I have struggled. I still struggle. It's not like it's forever gone. But
Oh,
again, I'm reminded
mm,
of what Christ has done. For me, my faith is a big part of my protective factor. Like I said before, my faith is
so
everything. So
good. So good.
yeah, yeah, that's I
Mm.
share that because I know others go through
Wow.
that as well. Yeah,
Mm. So true. And it makes a world of a difference just knowing that, like, you're not speaking just from your head knowledge or school knowledge, like, you're also speaking from a place of experience. Makes a world of a difference. Thank you so much for sharing that, honestly.
yeah.
Such a beautiful story.
It's You're
And
welcome. It's
thank
my
God for
pleasure to
redemption.
share. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let's go. Mpatso has a question. What does one do when their mental health issues aren't being taken seriously by their close family and
Hmm.
or friends? What's the best way to make people understand that you are struggling?
That's
Wow.
a really good question. That's a really good question. And it can be really tough because sometimes people won't understand what you're going through. Um, I would say Speaking your truth in is one way to start, but get backing for it. So how can I say it? They say witness of two is stronger, right? So if you
Mhm.
can find um, even professional help that can sort of help you know exactly what it is that you're struggling with and sort of help you frame it, help you show what it is, and then have that professional help interact with your family. I've seen that for people who were struggling with their family, I've had to talk with them, to talk to their family with them in explaining what they're going through. And I've seen that families usually, because they respect professionals, will take it more seriously when that
Yeah.
happens. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, a professional is actually seeing that this is true, then there must be something to it. Okay. So that usually
Yeah.
helps a lot. Other than just your own witness. So when you get a witness that can stand with you, that understands what you're
Mm.
going through, and can be able to explain it in a professional way, I think, a way that help your family understand, that can help. That's one thing I would
Beautiful.
advise. Yeah.
Beautiful. Great, great answer. Get a witness. So important. So, so
hmm
important. Isaac Dulu is asking, what can we do to help? What can we do in our society to help people overcome depression?
Phew. So one of the things I think, like I said, protective factors are key. And even though people are different, but if we can emphasize protective factors that can act as preventative measures. So social support is really important to people to support one another, but also to train kids as young as as young as can be, to help them know what emotional regulation is and how to develop skills in emotion regulation. And when I talk about emotional regulation, I mean how to handle yourself, how to handle your
Hmm.
emotions, because
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest things that happens is you don't know what to do with what you're going through. You don't know what to do
Hmm.
with the pain that you have. You don't know what to do with anger. You don't know what to do with sadness. You really don't know how to cope with it. But if we can train even as young as children in classes or schools or whatever, then we can help give them tools that they need to build resilience. So yeah, I think that's one of the ways that we can do. Talking about it is definitely always helpful, bringing awareness. Also, I think the other thing that we shouldn't take for granted is creating safety, creating safe spaces, because
Hmm.
one thing that acts as an inhibitor, or that stands in the way, is people don't feel safe to share. People don't feel safe to be like, I'm going through this or this, because they think people will think bad things about them, or like people will shame them. And shame is a big thing that stands in the way to healing.
So true. So
So if we can create safe spaces, and for me, I'm a believer in creating safe spaces in churches, which doesn't usually happen, but I'm a big believer in promoting that, instead of judgment, to have grace.
Hmm.
The Lord is helping us though. But create
Amen to
safe
that.
spaces. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. My gosh. Okay, I was
Oh
going to say
goodness, I
Fatima's
know.
question was going to be the last question, but let's see. Okay, let's see how we can navigate this. I'll take Fatima's question. How can one break out of a I'm assuming PTSD that's becoming uncontrollable for you alone? Sure.
PTSD is, for those who may not know, post traumatic stress disorder, which usually happens when someone has experienced a traumatic event and then they can't cope with it later on. Uh, so, this one, how can you deal with it when it's becoming uncontrollable? You really do need someone to walk alongside you, a professional, preferably. It doesn't always have to be a professional, by the way, but preferably a professional, because then they know more maybe on how they can help you. But it doesn't always have to be professional. I say this because there's another question, and I'm just going to go in there because it's important. Because we may not have enough like professionals, we may not have enough facilities to really help and deal with things. It doesn't always have to be professionals helping out, but people that can give you emotional support, safety, space to process what you're going through, that's enough. At least
Mm,
to sort of give you a buffer, a space for you to heal in what you need. And there's also a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of self-help things that you can find. Just be accountable with someone that can help you keep track of what's going on. So it
mm,
doesn't always have to be with a professional, because I realize we're limited. But if
mm,
you can find a professional, that would be, especially if it's completely out of control, that's the best way to do it, to deal with it, because there's a lot going on there. I would love to talk about this a long time, because I'm really passionate about trauma. I'm passionate about post-traumatic stress. It's one of my areas of expertise. So
mm.
maybe in the back we can talk. They can give you my contacts. Let's talk in the back.
Oh, nice. Oh, that is so
Yeah,
sweet. I'm
yeah,
sure Fatima is really going to appreciate that.
yeah.
Okay, we are going to call it a night, I think, because I know that it's a rabbit hole. People are going to
Yeah,
keep asking
we can
more
talk about it
questions.
forever.
Exactly. So we're gonna leave it there. Thank you so, so much for coming, Marlyn. Such
No, thank
wisdom and
you.
insight.
Thank you
Oh,
for
so
having me.
beautiful.
It's such a pleasure to be able to share from experience and training. So thank you.
So, so, so beautiful. Thank you for pouring out your heart as well and just being authentic. Sometimes people can be very clinical, and you were none of that. You
Yeah.
really poured out your heart. Thank you.
Um, I feel like that's my artist side that brings that to my work. So I really appreciate God making me the way I am.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Amen to that. And we appreciate it too. We love it.
Thank you.
Um, thank you to each one of you who have tuned in today and asked questions. Really, really appreciate you guys. You've been such a blessing. It's so beautiful to have you as a part of this conversation. And just as a reminder, my event is coming up soon. Get your tickets if you can, if you're in the country. If not, you can be a part of the virtual experience. You can find out all those deets in on my social media pages. So once again, Marlyn, thank you so much for being here tonight, and to all of you for being a part of tonight. Thank you so so much. Marlyn, do you have any final words?
Just that, thank you again, and let's keep talking. Let's keep helping one another. And if any more questions arise, feel free to like come to my inbox on Facebook even, and I can reach out and see how I can help. And I think I'll give Trey as well just a sheet of where people can find services, and she can put that on her page, and that can be really
Yay.
helpful for those in the country. So yeah,
Yay. Thank you so much. That will be very,
sure.
very, very helpful. All right, good people. That brings us to the end of our conversation for today. Once again, thank you. You have been an amazing audience. See you on Saturday. Bye.